Okay folks, Brian here from Northwind Garage. This is part 2 of we're doing a fuel pump replacement. This is the second video on it. So we got the tank lowered down, and basically just, you got to pull the fuel pump out of the tank. All the connections are disconnected. It's just these 6 bolts that go into the top of the tank. Keep in mind folks, this is gasoline. You don't want to be messing around with sparks or anything like that around this. Okay, you want to safety first with this. So okay, so one thing you got to remember is the orientation of your fittings when you take it apart. So you might want to take a marker, which I don't have right now. Just take and put a mark, or take a picture of it, like we're doing right now with the video. The direction of these taps, okay, because you want these molded fittings all to line back up. All these fittings are molded to a certain position, and you want them all to line back up. Okay, so keep that in mind. So you may have to do a little prying on this. I digress. I've had it out once before. I needed to get it out to order the part, and I actually took this out. Now this is your complete assembly. The fuel sender, fuel pump, it's all in here. There's a check valve in there too. And then you know, a primary filter. This little filter bag is a primary filter for it. This here is your fuel sending unit, which worked in this vehicle, so I'm not concerned about that. And the fuel pump is right here. I believe this is a check valve. Okay, so I'm going to take it over here and put some air on it and get rid of some of this. This has been sitting in the fuel tank, so I want to get rid of some of this gas on here. Now keep in mind, you're spraying a mist of gasoline into the air. You want to keep all the sparks away. Now this is a kit from Napa. It's this is the number on it. It's a B0053-E, made in China. Comes with a fuel pump. I picked these up extra. These are the clips that hold the fittings onto all these special connections. And they're just plastic clips. When you take them apart, they break and split, and it's hard to get them out in one piece. So usually just the weather alone causes the plastic to dry out, and why they made them out of plastic, I have no idea. So other than it's cheaper. So there's the fuel pump that we're going to replace here. It's a little different than the one that's in there, but we're gonna make it work. So basically, I'm gonna dismantle this assembly here. You want to be careful with this part too, which is your fuel sender. You want that to work when you go back in there, so you don't want to be yarning on that too hard. So I'm gonna have to get a pair of snips. Okay. That looks like about a 5/16. Oh.
Yep, just filming.
Okay, so the contents of this box was all these parts right here. These were extra. I had to buy these extra. It comes with a seal. It comes with an adapter to adapt the new pump to the wiring harness that's already in the pump assembly. It comes with a new seal. It comes with a wire tie. This little bag filter, pre-filter that for the tank. This little cushion that goes on the end of the fuel pump to hold it in place. That's what that does. Basically holds that fuel pump assembly in place. And this makes the connection. See this S portion here? It makes this connection. Okay. In place of that one. Now this plastic line here, you might have to cut the end of it to get it off of there, which we're going to do. But in the meantime here, we're going to get this pump released out of here. Just take out this one. It's probably metric, but I'm using a 9/32 socket on it. Looks like it's metric, but anyway. So you take this apart, and this whole assembly just basically comes apart like that. And then you have this plastic clip here. Wow, that's full of dirt. That's full of dirt. Look at it. A lot of dirt on that. Alright. So this plastic clip right here, you depress. Just give it a little wiggle. Don't get too aggressive with it. You don't want to break nothing in this. So that comes right apart, just like that. There's two connections in there. And then the kit comes with this adapter that you just plug into that. And these two new connections are going to go to your pump. And it does come with a little instruction sheet here. So I do see some suspicious behavior in here with there's some sand in it. It's like sand. I don't know where that came from. Just imagine. Alright. So I'm just going to score this a little bit and try and release some of that tension on there to get that. The new one comes with hose clamps. Yeah, so that's released. Here's the old fuel pump assembly. Now, the new fuel pump assembly is basically right here. We got this little cap on there to keep things out of there, and this goes in there like that. This is go on here like this. You gotta pull the cap out of it. There's a little protective cap in there. You pull that out. Put this guy on here like this. There's only one way it goes. There's a little pin right there, a little hole right here, and that goes like this. That's how it goes. And once it's on there, it has similar to the hose connections, it has a little ears that protect it from coming back off. But it looks like we're gonna have to give it a little love tap here. There it went. See, that little pin went down inside that hole there. Basically just a little persuasion there. And then take this pump. I'm going to give it another spray off here. So the two connections on this, one's larger than the other, so you can't mix it up. And the larger one in this case happens to be the red marked one, which is probably positive, and black is probably negative in a DC circuit on an automobile. That's normally what the colors are. Red is positive, black is negative. Not like house current. Black is usually power, or red can be power too, depending on what you're dealing with. Okay, so now there's another little cap on the outlet of the pump, and you just slide this on here like this. Seems a long ways away. This does. Let's get the clamps on it. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Okay, so this fuel pump goes down in here like this. This little clip goes back in here like this. Little slotted clip. And then that little screw I don't have a socket to right there. So I'm using a 9/32 on it, which fits, but not exactly. Right, so there's that. And then these two clamps. Well, I don't like how that's pinching that off. I don't like that at all. Alright. I have to do something a little different here. Now this is a universal pump, so it fits more than one vehicle. So I almost think we're better off to shorten that up like that. By far. Yeah. So we're going for it. We're going to cut it right there. Hopefully I don't regret it. Just trying to get the right fit with this, folks. All right. Not liking it. That molded rubber holes they gave me. Alright, so there's a little slot in the bottom of this slot right here matches up with this rubber cushion, and it should line up like that. Now we're going to put the clip back in, get this pump where it needs to be. Okay. And then we're gonna tighten up these clamps on the fuel pump and the check valve. I'm not liking how that rubber pipe fits in there. Not liking it at all. I need a straight piece of fuel line is what I need. Okay folks, I looked in my stash. I had a little piece of, I had some 3/8 stuff here. Fuel line. It says right on it, don't use nothing that doesn't say fuel line or emissions on it. It has to say that on it, so it'll stand up to the chemicals in the gasoline. So I didn't like how that little piece of molded rubber they had there was looking, because it was putting a permanent kink in the line, and we don't want to be dealing with that when you have to do so much work to get the fuel pump down and out of the tank. So so this is a little bypass line that goes on there. We can just put so this is what it looks like. Can you see well when it's all together? What I'm going to do here is You want to keep all the obstructions away from the fuel sending unit, because you don't want that hanging up on anything or it won't read your fuel level correctly. So that's important. And then obviously no kinks in that line that's going up to the engine. So we're going to take this little wire tie that came with it, and just kind of tie this stuff down. Like so. Just point it back down towards the bottom of the tank. Make sure nothing's pinched, like so. So that's that tank kit installed in the fuel pump assembly. So the next step is going to be, we've got to get the gas out of that tank so it's easier to manage, and also to make sure there's no dirt or gook or anything in the dirt or garbage or trash in the bottom of that tank. So that'll be the next step. So stay tuned. Folks, so the gasket's pretty much straightforward thing. It's got some little dimples that go through the cover. The holes are like right there. Okay, now we're going to have a look at this tank. Okay folks, so in order to get the gas out of this tank to make it more manageable, I got this poly line here, and I've taken a coat hanger and straightened it out. Basically just taken a metal coat hanger, cut the hook off, and straightened it out with a pair of pliers. And then you just take and put this in the end of the, this is just to keep this so you can point it where you need it in the tank without it being all flexible. And just leave that in the line like that, and you can point it right down in the lowest corner of your gas tank without any problems. And then to start the siphon, you're just going to take you're going to, this is a trick that you do not want to get any gas in the vacuum cleaner. Okay, so we're just going to basically get the siphon started with this vacuum cleaner.
Just buckets open.
This is going to be a trick.
You want me to turn it on?
Yeah. So, once you see it in the line, the siphon is started. Okay, I didn't get any gas in that vacuum cleaner. Okay, that avoids getting it all over your beard and all over your clothes and drinking it and this and that and the other. But it is dangerous, because if you get gas in that electric motor, you're not going to like that either. So beware. And I used a clear line so I could see the gas get to the lower level here, and then I just let off with the vacuum cleaner. And basically we use these Home Depot containers because gas cans are like $22 a piece. And the Home Depot containers are like $3 a piece. Plus we can reuse them around the shop and around the house. Now all the debris and everything that's in the tank that is going to go sink to the bottom of these buckets, and you'll be able to, when you're pouring these back out with a large funnel, Okay, so we're going to get a wood block under here and get this tilted up. So we can drain that. But I'm going to pause the camera for a bit and we'll come back to you. Alright folks, so we got this plastic line stuck in the bottom of the tank. I got the tank tilted up. We're basically siphoning out whatever's in there to make the tank, because it is such a big tank, to make it as light as possible. So that's what we're working on. So we're ready to set this tank back in there. It's all cleaned out. You gotta line the holes up on this seal. If you don't have the seal clocked right, the holes don't line up. So I had to turn it a little bit. I did not have it on there right. Alright, so remember from earlier in the video, I mentioned how you got to pay attention to what direction your filler pipe goes, okay? And it goes that direction from the video. And then this will go down here, but we have to get these clips replaced in the end of these. So let's see this clip. That one's installed. That's a straight clip. Let me do a little on these clips. So that's a 5/16, which I think that's what that is. So these clips, they pretty much break when you take them out. So you can put them back in. You got to buy new ones and put them back in there. So you just reinstall them. Let me see. I think they basically pop back in here and go in there like that, and then they just slide over, pop back in there. We'll see. Have a little beveled edge on them, so you can slide them over the end of the fitting with the clip in there, like that. So in order to install these, you just a little trick to get them in there.
Did you try turning it around?
You know what? That's a good question. I had it in backwards. Haha. Thank you. Look at that. I had it in backwards. Okay. So that's that. Yeah, that one went right in there. So when you get ready to put it all back up in there, you can just slide those clips over. And on these, Those aren't the right ones. They go to a different model and year. So they're not the same as these. See, these are straight like that, and these have that tab on there. I imagine you, in a pinch you could use it, but it looks a little longer. It's not the same connector. These have a little tab on them. Anyway, these are like $4 something a box. So that's that on the clips. I think we got, there's 2 of these. There's another one of those clips down there, right? Yeah. I'm gonna have to replace another clip while I'm under the vehicle. Anyway, the next thing we want to do is put these bolts in and torque them down. Anytime you're doing anything like this, you want to make a star pattern with your tightening. So it tightens evenly. Okay, now we're ready to slide that tank back under there. Okay folks, so we're sliding this back underneath here, and we got to make these connections. So the bit line, that clip we put in there, can you see that?
Yep.
So can you see the top of the tank here?
Yes.
So you just slide that right on in that clip that we put in there. Just clipped, just like that. It's a static connection. This is going to go over the frame rail. Got a weight on that. This, put a clip in that. That's a vent. And that just clips on. You'll hear it. You'll hear it click when it. Hear it click?
Yep, heard it.
Yeah. So that's that. Now's the tricky part. Got to get this tank up in here. Try to get your foot behind it here. I'm reaching further. I'm reaching for the jack here to try and get this up underneath. Let's see. That's good. You see, right up here, this is where you want to line up your tank to go. So this is not for the faint of heart, this job. This is not a job that is faint for the heart. Not for the faint of heart, rather. Okay, so I just kind of did a balancing act with that tank and got it up there. You're probably going to say, yeah, easier said than done, because it usually is easier said than done. And now we're going to start installing our straps. The tank's got to come this way quite a bit. The straps got to go up in this hole right there. It's like a slot, and it's a T-bolt. You want to have this down like this. Remember where the hole is here. So it looks like the whole tank has got to go down a little bit. Up and down. There's a hole. There it is. I found it. It's right there. It goes right up through the frame. Let's see here. Have to have a little more height out of that, I think. There we go. Going up now. That clips on here. Back on the tank. Some clips that hold this vent line from getting pinched on the side of the tank. It's almost impossible to show you. They just run along the seam of the tank and they hold that vent line from getting pinched or vibrating around and wearing a hole in them. So strap is supposed to go. For some reason, it doesn't want to go up. Oh, do these straps get mixed up? Or they both the same?
Well, shouldn't one of them be longer because this end is kind of
I don't know.
different?
Let's check that. I think the straps might have got mixed up here. Maybe not. They look the same. Definitely look very similar. They're the same. Alright. That tells me that it's got to go up a little more. Alright, try that. I think this one has to go this way a little bit. Like that. Try this again. Look at that. Just barely catch that bolt on it. I think. Maybe not. I don't remember it being that difficult, do you?
No.
Yeah, I got it started. That one is started. It's probably not sitting exactly the way it was originally. Looks like it got to come ahead a little bit. Head up in here. And what we got to do before we get too excited here is hook up this other fuel line. Okay folks, so the fuel tank has the same exact fittings as the fuel filter for the outlet to the pump that go to the fuel filter. So in my previous video we covered that, and it has the same connections. You have to make those connections on the top of the tank. Sometimes it's a little I was able on this vehicle to get in there with my hand and a light and be able to stick my head up in there and make those connections. But it's the same exact type of connection. Alright, I'm just hooking up the filler tube now. The filler tube and the vent. That's what I'm hooking up now. If you get a good, you'll see the camera in a minute, I'll show you. You have to take it out. See, is it still running?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the filler tube, and this one's the vent. That's the vent Just tightening these up now. These are two items that can be problematic because they'll leak, and then every time you fill the tank you smell gas in the cab of the vehicle and that sort of thing. So you want to make sure these are done correctly, just like everything else. Yeah, make sure these are done correctly, just like everything else. So okay. Now we'll get the back strap on the tank. Set up in there. Same deal. It's got a T on the end. It goes up in a slotted connection here in the frame. It lines right up with these little beds on the tank right here. So pretty straightforward. Lines up right in these beds. There's a hole in the frame where these straps go up through. They pop out right on top. I'm going to get a little PB blaster to spray these bolts down with. What I'm going to do is, knowing that this tank won't go anywhere, I'm going to let some pressure off of it so it can, there. Take this right out, just so it can nuzzle into where it has to go correctly without binding. So you want to make sure of that, because by design these straps are designed to pull it right into where it belongs. All of our connections are made on the tank. So basically we're just tightening up the straps at this point. So what I'm going to do is tighten this one about halfway. Alright, then I'm going to move back and tighten the front about halfway, and then move back to the back. Just because you don't want to get it binding up. Alright, move back. As it finds its home there on the frame rails. Whoops. Here, it's settling into where it needs to be. Nice and tight up in there. Alright, almost ready for some gasoline in that tank. Alrighty then. Now, what we want to do, I'm just going to stick my head in there and double check on the connections. You move that out of the way. That looks pretty good. I think we're going to leave it. Alright. Now, what we got to do Alright, where's the camera? So, this is not ideal, folks, doing this like this, but in order to get the dirt out of the gas, you want it to settle into these cans. See the dirt in the can? You can see the dirt in the bottom of the can. Or 5-gallon pail, I mean. So basically, try not to spill. Nope. Obviously, don't do this around sparks. And have proper spill containment.
It's on my hand.
And I'm going to stop. See that stuff in the bottom? We don't want that in our tank. So it's easier to pour a 5-gallon can that is less full. Put this cardboard in. Got a cardboard underneath us. You're gonna have a little bit of drippage. You want a set of helping hands, folks, when you're doing this. So you can see the debris. It's actually not too bad. We cleaned most of it out of the tank, but there was some sand in there. There was some tree bark in there. Whoops, sorry about that.
It's fine.
Rednecking this whole thing. Not too much dirt, a little bit. A little bit of dirt. Okay folks, so basically same deal with changing a filter. You wanna turn the key. I'm going to turn the key quite a few times to prime up that fuel system. And what it does is it forces fuel through the system and back to tank through the return line. And so it has a fuel with no air to pick up. So then go ahead and try and start it. Gas gauge works. You want to check that. You also want to get under the vehicle and make sure you haven't got any leaks. Nothing dripping. And make sure nothing's dripping. Okay folks, so let's do a rundown on the cost of this fuel pump for the Econoline E350. The electric fuel pump kit from Napa was just a fuel pump. They do sell the whole assembly, but it's like $250, and in some places it's even higher than that. So that's the number there, the B0053E, and the fuel pump itself was $127.99, not including tax. And then I had to have these, they're fuel line retaining clips, is what they are, for Ford. I had to have a set of the 5/8 and a couple of the 5/16. I just bought a whole box of both. And each one of those, the smaller one was $7.50, $7.49, $7.50, same thing. The other one was the 5/8 one was $10.69 for two. So we got 5 in the other box for the smaller ones. And then I had to have some tank space. So I just got 5-gallon pails because all my jerry cans were full, gas cans were full, and I didn't want to use the non-ethanol gas that I use on my smaller engines in the vehicle. So plus I needed just space to put that tank, the gas that was in the tank into, and I just got 3 5-gallon pails with covers. It was $5.28 for 3 lids and $10.44 for 3 buckets. So that's what we're into it for. And the amount of time it takes, it'll probably take all day with parts on hand. So for somebody who doesn't have all the equipment to do it with, and you got to kind of scrounge around, and I mean, actual work doesn't take all day. It's just gathering things up to do it. So just you want to account for some time to do it, because if you have problems, you're going to be taking the tank back out again. So there you have it. So on that one, I'm going to call it a go. So thanks for watching, folks. Please like, share, subscribe, and give me a thumbs up. Click the bell so you get a notification every time I put a video up, and I really appreciate you folks watching. So peace out, God bless you, till the next one. Northwind Garage.